Right. So get this. Today we're diving deep into something you use every single day, persuasion.
Yeah.
We've got these audio excerpts from a book on this.
Oh, God.
Trust me, you're going to want to take notes.
Okay.
It's like a masterclass in getting people to see like your side,
Yeah.
your ideas, even yourself in a whole new light.
It really flips the script on how we think about persuasion.
Yeah.
You know, it's less about like those forceful arguments and more about understanding the kind of like subtle psychology.
There's the psychology.
At play.
So imagine this. You've got an idea you're passionate about. Could be anything, right?
Yeah.
Like convincing your boss on a new project.
Yeah.
Getting your kids to finally eat their veggies. Even landing your dream job.
Right.
Okay. So this deep dive is going to equip you with some surprisingly effective tactics to make that happen.
Nice.
We're talking about crafting stories that really resonate. Understanding the beliefs that like drive people's decisions. And even sparking curiosity.
Yeah.
That's so irresistible they can't help but like be drawn in.
It's fascinating how often we just try and change people's minds head on, you know, without even considering the underlying beliefs that shape their worldview.
Exactly. It's like trying to build a house on sand.
Yeah.
This deep dive is about giving you the tools to build on solid ground.
I like that.
So let's start with one of the most fundamental elements of persuasion.
Okay.
The power of stories.
The power of stories.
I mean, who hasn't dreamed of seeing their name in lights? Their story featured in the media.
Right. It's a common goal.
Totally.
But so many people go about it the wrong way.
Oh, tell me about it.
Yeah.
I bet you're thinking about all those like bland press releases.
Yeah.
That just get lost in the inbox abyss.
Guilty as charged.
Right.
The author of this book, he points out that reporters, just like all of us, are drawn to stories. Narratives that like capture their imagination, make them want to learn more.
It's like facts are great and all, but without a story to bring them to life, they just fall flat.
They do.
The author actually shares this story about how this simple email, crafted like a compelling narrative, landed him an interview over dozens of others.
It highlights how stories engage not just our minds,
Yeah.
but our emotions as well. Like, think about the last time a story truly moved you, you know, made you feel something. You likely remember it vividly.
Totally.
And it's like that feeling of being transported to another world, completely immersed in the narrative.
Right.
That's the power of a well-told story.
So you're saying if we want to make our message stick,
Yes.
we need to become like master storytellers.
Precisely.
Yeah.
And the great thing is, storytelling is a skill
Yeah.
you can develop.
Oh, good.
Like, think about practicing your story, even recording yourself.
Okay.
You can, like, hear how you sound, see where you can add more detail, emotion to truly, like, captivate your listener.
The author even suggests practicing by describing random pictures.
That's fun.
It sounds kind of fun.
Yeah.
It's a great way to flex those narrative muscles.
Absolutely.
So it's not just about any old story, though, right?
Right.
There are specific types of narratives
Yes.
that can amplify your persuasive power.
Yeah. Hold on. You're saying there are certain stories that everyone should have in their back pocket ready to go.
Yeah.
I'm intrigued. Tell me more.
So the author highlights 3 essential stories.
Okay,
Your personal story,
Mm-hmm.
your company's story, if you have one,
Okay.
and the story of your product or service.
So it's like building a foundation, right?
Yes.
Your personal story helps people connect with you, establishes your credibility.
Your company's story gives context and background. And the product or service story
Right.
showcases the value you bring.
Exactly.
Okay.
Mastering these 3 narratives can set you apart, give you a powerful edge in any situation where you need to persuade someone.
Powerful edge.
You know what else is interesting?
What's that?
It's not just about what you say, but how you position yourself.
Okay, here's where it gets really interesting.
Yes.
You're talking about becoming a recognized expert in your field.
Yes.
Right?
Yeah.
It's like having that guru status.
Guru status.
People automatically trust your opinion
Uh-huh.
because you've demonstrated deep knowledge.
You got it.
Okay, so think about those salespeople
Yeah.
who clearly know nothing about what they're selling.
Right.
It's instantly frustrating.
Yeah.
you immediately lose trust.
Lose trust.
Now, contrast that with someone who's clearly an expert. They know the ins and outs.
Right.
They understand your needs.
Yeah.
They guide you to the perfect solution.
Yeah.
Okay. Who are you more likely to listen to?
Without a doubt, the expert.
Right. It's like the difference between getting health advice from your friend versus a doctor.
Right.
You're naturally going to trust the doctor's opinion more.
Exactly.
But how do we achieve that guru status? Does it take years of study?
It can.
And experience?
It can, but the author of this book lays out an 8-step plan.
Oh, wow.
That you can use to make significant progress in just 30 days.
30 days.
It's a challenge.
Okay.
For sure.
Yeah.
But totally achievable.
Okay, I'm in. What are the steps?
First, you need to figure out your area of expertise. What are you passionate about?
Yeah.
What do you already know a lot about?
Okay.
Then it's all about like deep diving into that subject. Research study.
Really immerse yourself.
Okay.
The author says it takes about 1,000 hours.
1,000 hours?
Of dedicated effort.
Okay.
To truly master something.
That's quite a commitment.
Yeah.
But I guess it makes sense if you want to be seen as a true expert.
Right.
So once you've put in the time.
Yes.
And become like a walking encyclopedia on your topic, what's next?
Don't be afraid to develop your own unique opinions.
Okay.
Gurus aren't just regurgitating information. They have their own insights, interpretations. They challenge conventional thinking and aren't afraid to share those opinions publicly, whether through talks, articles, or media appearances.
So it's not just about absorbing information.
No.
It's about adding your own unique perspective to it.
Exactly.
I can see how that would set you apart from the crowd.
Yes.
Okay.
And to solidify that expert status, consider writing a book or a white paper on your area of expertise. It's a tangible demonstration of your knowledge that people can reference and share.
I can see how a book would boost credibility.
Yeah.
It's like having your own little piece of authority.
It is.
But what about in today's digital world? What are some other ways to establish yourself as a thought leader?
Don't underestimate the power of online platforms.
Okay.
Start a blog. Create a podcast.
Yeah.
Get involved in online forums related to your field.
So basically, don't be shy about promoting yourself and your expertise.
Exactly. Let people know about your unique perspective, the value you bring.
Okay.
And don't worry. There are ways to do this authentically and without coming across as, arrogant.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay, this all sounds great, but I can already hear some listeners feeling overwhelmed. 1,000 hours of study.
It's a lot.
Writing a book. Building an online presence.
It seems like a lot to achieve in 30 days.
You're right.
What are some tips for making this process feel more manageable?
So you're right. It can feel daunting at first. That's why the author provides some practical advice.
Okay.
For instance, if writing an entire book seems overwhelming, start with a white paper.
Okay.
You could even ghostwrite a white paper for someone else in your field to gain experience and build your portfolio.
Right.
As for the 1,000 hours, remember, you're likely already spending time learning about things you're passionate about.
That's a good point.
You can simply structure that learning process to maximize your expertise in a specific area.
Yeah, we don't have to reinvent the wheel here.
Exactly.
We can leverage our existing interests and knowledge.
Yes.
Okay, so we've talked about the power of stories, how to establish ourselves as experts. Now let's dive into another fascinating aspect of persuasion.
Okay.
The role of beliefs.
This is where we start to understand, the psychology behind why people are persuaded by certain arguments, not others.
Right.
It's not just about logic and evidence. It's about understanding the deeply held beliefs that shape people's worldview.
It's like we all have these internal filters that influence how we interpret information and make decisions.
Exactly.
So.
And these beliefs are often deeply rooted in our upbringing, our culture, and our personal experiences. Trying to change them head on can feel like an uphill battle.
It's like pushing a boulder uphill.
It is.
The author uses the example of the 9/11 attacks to illustrate how even deeply held beliefs about things like security and freedom can shift in the face of a powerful event.
Before 9/11, many people would have opposed any measures that restricted their freedoms in the name of security.
Right.
But after the attacks, there was a shift in public opinion.
Right.
And people became more willing to accept these trade-offs.
Right.
It highlights the fact that beliefs, even those we consider to be like core values, are not set in stone.
Okay.
They can evolve over time.
Wow, that's a powerful example.
It is.
It makes me think about how important it is to understand the historical and cultural context that shapes people's beliefs.
Absolutely.
You know, we can't just assume that everyone sees the world the same way we do.
No.
We need to approach persuasion with empathy.
Yes.
And a willingness to understand the other person's perspective.
And that understanding can be applied to even seemingly mundane issues.
You're right. It's not just about big world-changing events.
Right.
It's also about understanding how beliefs play out in everyday life.
The author uses the toilet seat debate as an example.
Oh, I know that debate all too well.
You know, the age-old argument about whether the seat should be left up or down?
But I never thought of it as being about beliefs.
It may seem trivial,
but
it actually taps into deeper beliefs
Okay.
about, gender roles, consideration for others, even power dynamics within a relationship.
That's fascinating.
Yeah.
So you're saying that when we try to persuade someone,
Yes.
we need to be aware of these underlying beliefs.
Yes.
It's not just about presenting like a logical argument.
Right.
It's about understanding the emotional and psychological framework that shapes their response.
It is.
But how do we do that?
Yeah.
It seems almost impossible to know what's going on inside someone else's head.
It's not about mind reading.
Okay.
It's about being observant, asking questions.
Okay.
What clues do their words and actions give you about their underlying beliefs? What are their concerns, their priorities, their values?
Right.
The more you understand about their perspective, the more effectively you can tailor your message to resonate with them.
So instead of trying to like bulldoze our way through with our own arguments, we need to first listen and understand where the other person is coming from.
Precisely.
And that leads us to a key insight from the book.
Okay.
Instead of trying to change people's beliefs head on, which can often lead to like resistance, focus on leveraging their existing beliefs.
Leveraging, okay.
Okay, you've lost me a bit.
Okay.
How do we leverage someone's beliefs without changing them?
Think about it like finding common ground.
Okay.
Identify shared values, beliefs, or goals.
Okay.
Then frame your argument in a way that aligns with those existing beliefs.
So it's like building a bridge between what they already believe and what you want them to consider.
Yes.
Instead of tearing down their existing structure, you're adding on to it.
Exactly.
Okay.
The author shares an example from his own experience selling POS software.
Okay.
Instead of trying to convince business owners to completely abandon their traditional accounting methods, he positioned the software as an enhancement to their existing systems.
Got it.
It was a way to make their current processes more efficient and effective, aligning with their existing beliefs about the importance of good accounting practices.
That's a brilliant strategy.
It is.
It makes the transition feel less like a radical change and more like a natural evolution.
Exactly.
Okay. So we know beliefs are powerful.
Powerful.
But I'm curious about how they actually work.
Yeah.
What's happening in our brains when we form or change a belief?
That's a great question.
Yeah.
It takes us deeper into the psychology of persuasion.
Okay.
The author explains that our brains have developed sort of a mental shortcut when it comes to believing.
Interesting.
We tend to automatically believe what we initially see or hear.
That makes sense. We can't stop and analyze every single piece of information we encounter.
Right.
So our brains have developed ways to like streamline the process.
Yeah.
But doesn't that make us vulnerable?
It does.
To misinformation.
Which is why this automatic belief is then subject to a series of tests.
Okay.
It's like our brains have a built-in fact-checking system.
So our initial belief is like a first draft that then gets revised and edited.
Yes.
Okay.
And this is where those schemas come in. They're like mental models.
Okay.
that help us organize information and make sense of the world.
Okay.
Think of them as mental frameworks built from our past experiences, knowledge, and expectations.
So schemas help us filter information and decide what to believe.
They help us categorize and interpret new information based on what we already know. But here's where it gets tricky.
Uh-oh. I sense a but coming.
You're right.
Yeah.
These schemas can sometimes lead us astray because they're based on our existing beliefs.
Right.
They can make us resistant to information that challenges those beliefs.
I think I'm starting to understand.
Yeah.
It's like we have these mental blinders on. We tend to only see what confirms our existing worldview.
That's a great way to put it.
Right.
It's a phenomenon known as confirmation bias.
Confirmation bias.
We tend to seek out information that supports our beliefs, ignore or discount information that contradicts them.
So how do we break free from these mental traps?
Yeah.
How do we become more open to new ideas and perspectives, even if they challenge our existing beliefs?
It starts with awareness. The more we understand how our schemas and biases work, the better equipped we are to challenge them.
Okay.
We need to be willing to question our own assumptions.
Right.
Be open to the possibility
Okay.
that we might be wrong.
Yeah. It's hard to admit when we're wrong.
It is.
But important.
And when trying to persuade others, we need to be mindful of their schemas and biases as well.
So instead of trying to force our ideas onto others, we need to create a space where they feel safe to question their own beliefs and explore new possibilities.
Exactly.
It's about fostering a dialogue, not delivering a monologue.
I like that.
Now let's get even more practical.
Okay.
And talk about the process of changing someone's belief.
Right.
Okay. I'm ready. Give me the steps.
The author outlines a 7-step process for belief change.
7 steps.
It's a valuable roadmap for anyone who wants to understand how to effectively shift someone's thinking.
All right, let's walk through it. What's the first step?
First, you need to establish credibility. People are more likely to listen to and believe someone they perceive as knowledgeable and trustworthy.
This is where all that talk about becoming an expert comes into play.
Exactly.
Right.
Establishing your expertise in a particular area lends weight to your arguments. Makes people more receptive to your message.
Okay, so once you've built that foundation of credibility, what's next?
The next step is to identify the existing belief that you're trying to change. This requires careful listening and observation to understand the other person's perspective.
Right.
What are their core beliefs about the topic at hand?
So we're talking about like active listening here.
Yes.
Not just waiting for our turn to speak.
No.
We need to really understand where the other person is coming from.
Absolutely.
And it's important to approach this step with empathy and a genuine desire to understand rather than judgment or a sense of superiority.
Right.
I like that.
It's about creating a connection, not a confrontation.
It was the third step.
Once you understand the existing belief, the next step is to uncover frustrations related to that belief.
Frustrations,
Identify the pain points or challenges that the other person is experiencing as a result of their current way of thinking.
So it's like helping them see the downsides of clinging to their old beliefs. But how do we do that without coming across as critical or judgmental?
It's about asking the right questions. What are their concerns? What are their goals? What are they struggling with? By highlighting these frustrations, you can create a sense of urgency and a need for change.
I can see how that would make people more receptive to considering alternative viewpoints.
Yes.
Okay, what happens after we've uncovered these frustrations?
Now it's time to present the new idea supported by credible evidence.
Okay, so we've laid the groundwork.
Yes.
We've created a sense of need, and now we're offering a solution.
Exactly.
Okay.
And it's important to present your evidence in a way that's clear, concise, and compelling. Remember, you're not just trying to change their minds. You're trying to help them see the world in a new way.
This all sounds very logical and well-reasoned.
Yeah.
But I imagine it's not always easy to get people to embrace new beliefs.
Right.
Even when presented with like compelling evidence.
You're absolutely right.
Yeah.
That's why the fifth step in this process is so crucial.
Right. What is it?
It's about encouraging the other person to act as if.
Act as if.
The new belief were true.
What does that mean?
It's about getting them to try on the new belief.
Okay.
To see how it feels.
Yeah.
And to experience its potential benefits.
Right.
Think about it like test driving a car before you buy it.
So instead of just talking about the new belief,
yeah,
we're encouraging them to actually experience it.
Exactly.
This step is about creating a shift in behavior.
Yes.
Which can then lead to a shift in belief.
Right. It's interesting.
It's like the old saying, fake it till you make it.
Yeah.
But instead of faking it,
right,
we're encouraging them to try it on for size, see how it fits.
Exactly.
Okay.
Now, once they've started to experiment with the new belief, the next step is to reinforce it.
Okay.
Through repeated exposure.
So it's about consistency.
Insistency.
And repetition.
Repetition.
We need to keep presenting the new idea, providing opportunities for them to experience its validity.
Precisely.
Repetition and consistency are key.
They are.
To cementing the new belief in their mind.
Yes.
Think about how we learn new habits. Yeah. It's not a one-time event.
Right.
Welcome back to our deep dive into the fascinating world of persuasion.
It's exciting to pick up where we left off last time.
I know, right?
You know, we covered some pretty powerful concepts so far.
Yeah, like the importance of stories and understanding beliefs.
Yeah.
It's amazing how much we think we know about, like, getting our point across.
Right.
But there's a whole science to it, you know?
It's true.
I feel like I've been doing it on instinct, not strategy this whole time.
That's true for a lot of us.
Yeah.
But when you understand, like, the underlying principles, you can become much more deliberate and effective.
So, okay, last time we talked about how beliefs can be, like, these powerful drivers in decision-making.
Yeah.
But what about that feeling of wanting what we can't have?
Oh, yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
Like those limited edition sneakers everyone goes crazy for.
Right.
Or that exclusive club with a mile-long waiting list.
You're tapping into the principles of exclusivity and availability.
Okay.
And these are incredibly potent persuasive tools.
Really?
Because they leverage some deep-seated psychological drivers.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
It's like that frenzy over the last Tickle Me Elmo on the shelf back in the day.
Exactly.
Parents were practically wrestling each other to get their hands on one.
Scarcity creates a sense of urgency and desire.
Okay.
We're naturally drawn to things that are rare, exclusive, or in limited supply.
I can see how that works with, like, products, but how do we apply these principles in other contexts?
Right.
Like in our personal or professional lives?
Think about it this way. Exclusivity creates a sense of value and belonging.
Okay.
So when you make someone feel like they're part of a special group, you instantly increase their receptiveness to your message.
So it's like creating an inner circle.
Yes.
For your clients or target audience. Give them access to information, opportunities, or experiences that aren't available to everyone.
Precisely. Think about those elite membership programs.
Okay.
Limited edition products or invite-only events.
Yeah.
They all tap into this desire for exclusivity.
Okay.
Make people feel privileged to be included.
I'm starting to get it.
Yeah.
By making people feel like they're a part of something special, we're also making them more open to our ideas and suggestions.
Exactly. Exclusivity fosters a sense of identity and belonging. Which strengthens the persuasive power of any communication.
Okay. And what about availability? How does that play into persuasion?
So limited availability creates a sense of urgency.
Okay.
When something is scarce or time-sensitive, it pushes us to act before we miss out.
Right, right.
Think about those limited time offers or flash sales that you see online.
Oh, I know those all too well.
Yeah.
I'm definitely guilty of impulse buying.
Right.
Something because, you know, it was only available for a short time.
We've all been there.
Yeah.
That ticking clock creates a psychological pressure that can override our usual decision-making processes.
Yeah. The author of the book, he mentioned this tactic called a sliding price scale.
Have
you heard of that?
Yes.
So the price, it goes up each day you delay. So it's like an extra nudge to, like, stop procrastinating.
It's a clever strategy.
Yeah.
By increasing the cost of delay, you create a powerful incentive for people to act quickly.
It all sounds very strategic, but I have to admit,
Yeah.
I'm a little wary of using these techniques.
I understand.
You know, I don't want to come across as manipulative or pushy.
I understand your concern. It's crucial to use these techniques ethically and authentically. The goal isn't to trick people into doing something they don't want to do.
Right.
It's about presenting a genuine opportunity with a clear sense of urgency.
So it's about being transparent and respectful.
Absolutely.
Even when we're trying to create, like, a sense of scarcity.
And it's important to remember that exclusivity and availability aren't just about external factors. They can also apply to our own personal brand.
What do you mean by that?
Think about it this way. When you're in high demand, your time and expertise become more valuable.
Okay.
People are more eager to connect with you when they know your availability is limited.
That makes sense. It's like the old saying, absence makes the heart grow fonder.
Right.
When we're constantly available, it can diminish our perceived value.
Exactly.
Okay.
So it's not about playing hard to get.
Right.
It's about managing your time strategically and communicating your availability effectively.
I like how the author suggests scripting what our assistants should say when scheduling appointments. Phrases like, the only time available today is... It creates that subtle sense of urgency.
Yes.
Without being pushy.
It's a great way to frame the interaction.
Okay.
Highlight the value of your time and expertise.
Okay, I'm getting a crash course in strategic scheduling.
Here you go.
But let's move on to another intriguing concept that really stood out to me from the book. The power of curiosity.
Oh, yeah.
The author, he calls it the king of persuasive emotions.
Oh, it's a powerful one.
So what makes curiosity so potent when it comes to persuasion?
So curiosity is the driving force behind all learning and exploration.
Okay.
It's what compels us to ask questions, seek new information, and challenge our existing beliefs.
It's like that feeling of wanting to know what's behind the curtain or what's at the end of the rainbow.
Exactly.
You know, curiosity makes us want to discover, to explore, to uncover.
And when you can spark someone's curiosity, you open their minds to new possibilities. You make them receptive to your message in a way that no amount of logic or argumentation can achieve.
So instead of trying to force-feed information to someone, we need to create a space where their own curiosity can lead them to the desired outcome.
Precisely. And one of the most effective ways to spark curiosity is by asking the right questions.
It makes sense when you think about it.
Yeah.
Questions, they challenge assumptions, open up possibilities, and encourage people to think critically.
The author highlights two particularly powerful questions.
Okay.
How will you define success? And how will you know you made the right decision?
Wow, those are good ones.
Yeah.
They really make you stop and think about your own criteria and motivations.
Exactly. These questions create a gap between where someone is and where they want to be.
Yeah.
And that gap, that sense of dissonance, naturally sparks curiosity and a desire to close it.
It's like we're planting a seed of doubt and then offering a way to resolve it.
Precisely. And once you've piqued someone's curiosity, they become much more open to exploring new ideas and solutions.
Okay, so asking thought-provoking questions is key.
Yes.
But what are some other techniques we can use to spark curiosity?
Think about making provocative statements that leave people wanting more.
Okay.
Offer tantalizing bits of information that hint at something bigger or more exciting.
Okay.
You can even directly challenge assumptions, but do it tactfully and respectfully.
I love the idea of leaving intriguing gaps in the story. It's like giving someone a taste of a delicious meal.
Yes.
And then making them wait for the main course.
That anticipation, that desire for resolution, it keeps them engaged and wanting more.
Okay, so the author even have this little phrase he calls magic words.
Yeah.
To really, like, ramp up the curiosity. What are you curious about?
It's so simple.
Yeah.
But so effective.
Yeah.
It forces people to consciously acknowledge their own curiosity. Right.
And articulate what they're most interested in learning.
It also implies that their curiosity is valid.
Yes.
And that we're genuinely interested in satisfying it.
Exactly. It creates a sense of collaboration.
Okay.
And shared exploration, which is essential for effective persuasion.
Okay. I'm feeling inspired.
Good.
But I also have to confess, I'm starting to feel a little manipulated by all this talk of persuasion techniques.
I understand.
Like, are we just using these strategies to trick people into doing what we want?
That's an important question.
Yeah.
And it speaks to the ethical considerations that are always present when discussing persuasion.
Right.
It's crucial to use these techniques responsibly.
Okay.
And with respect for the other person's autonomy.
So it's not about using Jedi mind tricks to control people.
No.
It's about understanding human psychology and using that knowledge to communicate more effectively.
Exactly. Persuasion at its core is about influence.
Okay.
Not control.
Okay. It's about guiding people towards decisions that are in their best interest.
Right.
While also respecting their right to choose.
So it's not about creating, like, mindless followers.
Right.
But rather about empowering people to make informed decisions that align with their values and goals.
Precisely.
Okay.
And that brings us to our final principle for today, relevancy.
Ah, yes. Relevancy. The antidote to all those irrelevant marketing messages and spam emails we're constantly bombarded with.
We've all been there.
Yeah, it's overwhelming, it's annoying, and it ultimately leads to apathy.
Yes.
The ultimate persuasion killer.
The ultimate persuasion killer.
So how do we ensure that our message is actually relevant to the person we're trying to persuade?
It starts with understanding.
Okay.
Their specific needs and desires. What are their pain points?
Yeah.
What are their aspirations?
Okay.
What are they trying to achieve?
And it's not just about the message itself,
No.
but also about the timing, right?
The timing, yeah.
We need to deliver the right information at the right time when it's most relevant and impactful.
The author uses a great analogy. It's like a carpenter measuring twice before cutting once.
Okay, I like that.
We need to take the time to carefully select our target audience and tailor our message to their unique situation.
And asking questions is crucial, right?
Absolutely.
We need to uncover their specific needs and desires rather than assuming we know what they are.
Questions are the key to relevancy.
Okay.
They help us understand the other person's perspective, identify their pain points, and tailor our message accordingly.
So it's not about blasting out a generic message to the masses, but rather about having a targeted, personalized approach.
Exactly. The more relevant our message is,
the
more likely it is to resonate with the other person and have a lasting impact.
Yeah, the author, he really drives home the point that irrelevancy leads to apathy.
It does.
Which is the death knell for persuasion.
It is.
So we need to be, like, laser focused on providing value. And addressing the other person's specific needs if we want to have any chance of influencing them.
And that concern for the other person, that genuine desire to understand and help, is ultimately what makes persuasion ethical and effective.
Welcome back. It's time to wrap up our persuasion deep dive. We've unpacked a lot.
Yeah.
Stories, beliefs, even that sneaky wanting what you can't have thing.
Right. Exclusivity, availability.
Yeah, exactly. And we've talked about how important it is.
Yeah.
To use these techniques ethically.
Yeah.
Always respecting the person on the other side of the conversation.
Absolutely. It's not about manipulation. It's about understanding.
Okay, so now I'm thinking, how do we put all of this together?
Yeah.
It's like having all these amazing ingredients, but no recipe.
That's a great point. Persuasion isn't a one-size-fits-all formula.
Right.
It's more like an art form, you know? It takes practice, adaptability, and a deep understanding of human psychology.
So we need to be flexible, like a jazz musician.
Yes.
Who knows the scales, but, like, improvises in the moment.
Exactly. The techniques we've discussed are tools in a toolbox.
Okay.
You wouldn't use a hammer
Right.
for every repair job, right?
Definitely not. I learned that the hard way trying to fix a leaky faucet once.
That's a great analogy.
Yeah.
Just like a skilled craftsperson, you need to select the right tool for the job, considering the context and your desired outcome.
So if I'm trying to convince my team to adopt a new project management system, I might focus on stories of how it's helped other teams succeed.
Right.
Highlighting the benefits.
Precisely. And if you're trying to get your kids to eat their vegetables,
good luck with that one.
You might tap into the scarcity principle by saying something like, there are only a few pieces of broccoli left.
Ooh, sneaky. I like it.
And they're going fast.
That's brilliant.
Right.
It's all about adapting to the situation and the people involved.
And just like any skill, persuasion requires a continuous practice, refinement. The more you experiment with these techniques, the better you'll become at reading the room, tailoring your approach, achieving your desired results.
You know, it's funny.
What that?
We often think of persuasion as something outward-facing, like convincing someone else.
Right.
But this deep dive has also made me more aware of how I'm being persuaded all the time.
That's a valuable insight.
Yeah.
Understanding the principles of persuasion doesn't just make you a better influencer.
Okay.
It also makes you a more discerning consumer of information.
Oh, that's interesting.
It's like having a superpower.
A superpower, okay.
You can now see through, like, all those marketing ploys, manipulative tactics.
You're less likely to fall prey to unethical persuasion.
Right.
Because you can recognize the techniques being used.
Yeah, exactly.
So it's not just about becoming like a master persuader. It's about becoming a master of your own decisions.
Precisely.
Yeah.
Now, before we wrap up,
okay,
I want to leave you with one final thought.
Okay.
If even deeply held beliefs can change, as we saw with the example of, you know, how 9/11 shifted perspectives on security and freedom.
Right.
What does that tell us about the power of persuasion and our own susceptibility to it?
That's a powerful question.
It is.
It makes me realize that we're all constantly being influenced.
Yes.
Whether we're aware of it or not.
And that's why it's so crucial to be mindful of the messages we're receiving, to question our assumptions, and to critically evaluate the information we're being presented with.
So this deep dive hasn't just given us like tools to persuade others.
Right.
It's also given us tools to protect ourselves from being unduly influenced.
It's about empowering you to make conscious, informed decisions that are truly aligned with your values.
Well, this has been an incredible journey.
It has.
We've learned so much about the art and science of persuasion.
Yeah.
From the power of stories to the importance of relevancy.
And everything in between.
And we've emphasized how crucial it is to use these techniques ethically.
Absolutely.
Always respecting the other person's perspective and autonomy.
Very important.
It's been a pleasure diving into this fascinating topic with you.
Me too.
I hope our listeners have found it as insightful and empowering as I have.
Remember, persuasion is a powerful tool. And like any tool, it can be used for good or for ill. Use it wisely.
So true. Well, that's all for this deep dive into persuasion.
Yeah.
Thanks for joining us.
It's been fun.
We'll be back soon with another fascinating topic to explore.
See you then.
Until then, keep those minds curious and keep those conversations flowing.